Anywhere you go, you belong. Anywhere you say, anywhere.
Okay, what are you saying, people? Welcome back to the stream. Hope you all are doing well. Hope you all had a great weekend and that. And as always, guys, if there's any pairs you want me to take a look at, feel free to leave it in the chat. But welcome back to the stream. Check out my Telegram channel if you want to. Got a link to that in my description and also in the chat as well. And also check out the Recommended Broker. My affiliate link is in the chat as well if you want to take a look at that. But as always, guys, another stream here for you today. Going to talk you through the charts. There's a couple of pairs that I've got my eyes on for some trades that could be warming up for late today, maybe in the New York session. There is a lot of news events this week, so we might see a lot more momentum, volatility coming to the markets this week. So do watch out for that. We don't want any more accounts getting blown up or anything like that. If you do take a trade, make sure you do have appropriate risk management and put your stops in place as well. But going to start with Euro USD, and then if you guys want to share some pairs that you're looking at, feel free to do so. But we're going to start with Euro USD. I've got my eye on this pair coming into this week and also on this morning as well. So I'm looking for a downside for Euro USD today or tomorrow. It depends when it happens, but I still can see a move to the downside here for Euro USD. We had a massive move to the downside last week, as you can see. Well, first we had a big move up, but that was kind of overshadowed by this massive move back down in the opposite direction. So Euro USD last week was a little bit all over the place. We're looking to short Euro USD from here last week of the break and retest of that level there. However, we broke to the upside. I think this was obviously, it was news, but I think it was a bit of a liquidity grab there, grabbing a lot of people's stop losses. Again, a lot of people will be selling from this area here, including myself, taking stop losses above there and also stop losses above here, and after that liquidity just dropped to the downside. So Euro USD looking bearish. I believe right now we've seen some nice retracement. Again, if I do get a fib out on this, you can see we've just about hit the 50% mark. So we traced 50% of that bearish move, which does mean we could be at a nice area for price to now kick off the downside again and see a new leg to the downside for Euro USD. Of course, you could retrace further. The reason why I'm not in the trade yet is because price is in a little bit of a funny area for me. We do have this really nice support here, which I was originally looking to take the break and retest short from. So I was looking to get short here yesterday for Euro USD. So we broke through this, looking to retest that as resistance. I was looking to get short there, but we didn't get any confirmations or any candlestick patterns at that area. Price just broke through. So kind of the next area that I'm looking at is this resistance here on the left. As you can see, support, resistance, will be resistance again. So I'm looking to see if price will move into that area, come and test this, and then we could look to short again, which does mean just better risk to reward, of course. Or wait for price to get back underneath this level that it just broke through, retest that, and then I'll look to get short there. So I'm either waiting for the break and retest of that low, or for price just to push into this level up there and then get short. Either which way, I'm looking for sells as long as we stay below that level, and targets for Euro USD will be these lows here. And then potentially 1.15, which is the next psychological level underneath those lows, which I do see price hitting, especially with this liquidity grab here. We've got the liquidity to do so. Now we need to see that impulse continue to the downside. So looking for sales for Euro USD. That's probably the main pair I'm focusing on. And also DXY looks like it could be moving up as well. USD CHF. Okay, I'll look at GU, EU, DXY. So I just looked at EU, looking for that move to downside. I'll go into pound USD now. So pound USD, again, same thing sort of. Price action a little bit different, but same idea, looking for those sales for pound USD to the downside. Again, if you haven't checked out my analysis for the week, make sure you do that. It's on my channel now. But again, for pound USD, we're looking for the same move to the downside as well. I'm looking for a push into these lows here for pound, which price has almost got to, which is another reason why I'm focusing on Euro USD rather than pound, because pound's almost at that level yet, whereas Euro USD we've still got a bit of a drop. To be honest, I can still see pound USD dropping to this level down here, back down to these lows, but for that to happen, I want to see price get underneath this level first, and then I'll be more interested to take those sells for pound USD off the break and retest of that daily level. So price right now for my target for pound USD was this support here, just above 1.36, which price is almost tested, well, not too far away from testing. So coming into the week, I was looking for price to retrace for me for pound USD back up into this level around here. Really nice resistance, support, but we didn't quite see that. Pound was quite bearish yesterday. We saw that a lot of pound pairs, pound CAD, pound CHF, pound JPY, a lot of pound weakness yesterday. And as you can see, pound was trying to retrace up, but couldn't do so, and it slowly collapsed into the downside. So I do think pound's going to hit this level quite soon, probably today. It's not too far away. It's probably going to come and hit that level soon. Again, not really looking to trade pound because it's about to hit my target, which is probably about, I don't know, about 20 pips away. So for me, it's not worthwhile to trade that to the downside. So for pound coming into the week, I want to see how pound reacts with this level here, which is that daily level that I just showed you on the daily chart. If we do start to stall here and start to see some consolidation and maybe price breaks to the upside, can look for some longs to the upside. If we still got fresh support and resistance here which hasn't been retested, so potentially we could see another swing up. If pound just breaks straight through this level here, then I will be waiting for the retest underneath it and then continuations. And if that does happen, I do think pound will probably end up pushing back down to these lows around 1.34, which could be a really nice swing trade there for pound. So yeah, watch what happens at this level here. It's a really key daily level of support and resistance. You can see here really nice support, was acting as resistance, didn't really see me to the downside, broke above, and now coming back for the retest. So we even see a nice push to the upside or price get back underneath, wait for the retest, and we'll look for price to swing back down to these lows at 1.34. So that's what I'm looking at for pound, which might take a day or two to really develop to identify whether we're going to get a push up or a continuation. So for now, I'm focusing on Euro USD, which is a little bit clearer right now. So I hope that helped for pound USD. And DXY, like I said, DXY is also looking good for more upside for this one. You can see the overall structure for the DXY is bullish there, push, pullback, push, potentially another pullback, looking for a continuation to the upside. Again, DXY is pretty much the flip version of Euro USD. You can see a massive bullish engulfing there, and as for Euro USD, it was a massive bearish engulfing. So kind of just the same thing flipped, which is good because when they do correlate, they normally do give us some good moves in the market and normally makes sense. So DXY, again, kind of the exact same thing for Euro USD. We do have a key level of resistance just above us here that I want price to break above before I do expect to see that move to the upside for the DXY. And we also do have a really key support here on the 93,800 mark, which I was looking for price to come and retest before we do see the move up. So I was looking for DXY to come into this level and then continue to the upside. However, we haven't quite tested that. As you can see, we wicked down, but not quite enough to test that level. So I'm waiting for either DXY to flip back bearish, come and test this level, and then continue, which will line up with Euro USD coming to test that level and then continuing back down. Or DXY can just go and break through this resistance. We'll wait for the retest of that, and then the continuation is long. And targets for DXY will be these highs up here, and then these highs up here, which is around 94,500, which is where I do see price going. So essentially, as long as DXY stays above 93,800, I think we're coming back to highs 94,500 out there for DXY, which means a lot more strength in the dollar, which means pairs like pound, Euro USD, AUD will be coming down. Then we could expect USD CAD, USD CHF to be going up. So I will look at USD CHF now. But I hope that made sense on those pairs. But yeah, USD CHF's been a little bit of a funny pair recently. Was expecting price to move up, but as you can see, we've got the continuation to the downside, coming to this key level here of support, which price actually broke through on that previous candle there yesterday. And I'm expecting price to move to back down to these lows if we can stay below this support 0.91, if we or kind of just above 0.91 actually. As long as we can stay below this support, price should fill the range to the downside and see the continuation back down to these lows. But because, like I said, I'm expecting some strength in the USD, so it might be a false break. This candle's looking bullish right now. We've still got about 10 hours left before this candle does close, so don't focus on this daily candle too much. But if we do close right back above, we could be seeing a false break and a move in the opposite direction. If not, and we see price reject this area, come back down again, it could be looking at sales and riding to the downside. If it is a false break, we'll be looking for the retest of this level as price has the false break, looking for the retest of the level. Then you can be looking to go long and ride that USD strength to the upside, and there could be some nice areas we could target. There's a bit of a range here, at around the 0.91800/900. So a nice break and retest of that level and looking for buys back up into there. So that could be a really nice trade there for USDCHF, but it just depends how price closes with that on the daily, because if it stays underneath, I consider that a break and retest, and sales will be looking good back down to these lows, 0.9400. If it is a false break, wait for the retest and then buys back up there. But I think because we can see some USD strength coming in, we should be seeing USDCHF move up. But again, anything can happen. We probably do have some news events coming soon, which could, make things look a lot different. And we do have NFP coming on Friday as well. Captain Fab, do you mean USD JPY or just the JPY index? Good morning, Pablo. How are you doing? Welcome back to the stream. Oh yeah, it's because in the UK we had our daylight saving regime. So basically our clocks went backwards an hour. Yeah, our clocks went backwards an hour on the weekend. So yeah, I'm actually it's 10 a.m. here, but it should be at 11 a.m. So yeah, it's the same time as usual, but yeah, my clocks went backwards. Yeah, sure. Euro USD. So I just did Euro USD. Then I'll move on to CAD JPY. So yeah, Euro USD is a pair that I'll be looking at today. I think it's probably at the top of my watch list, so I'll be focusing on this pair the most. I'm looking at Euro USD coming back down to these lows, which is this support here, 1.15300. Essentially, I'm treating Euro USD here as a bit of a false break to the upside with this spike here. Grabbing liquidity above these highs, and I think, especially after this sharp move, I do see Euro USD coming back down to these lows and back down to 1.15, potentially at some new lows as well. So I'm expecting Euro USD to continue this bearish momentum that we saw at the end of last week. After that retracement, I'm looking for the continuation. I was looking for Euro USD to retest this level here on the 4H, which is that level there. I was looking for price to retest that level, and I was looking at sales from there yesterday to the downside. However, we just broke through that level quite easily, and price was looking quite bullish yesterday. So I stayed away from Euro USD. Coming into this morning now, we found some resistance kind of at the midway point between this range here of 1.15850 and 1.16200. So we find like resistance in between that area. So I did say to myself that if price was to get into this resistance here, I'll be looking to sell Euro USD with the same target, which is all the way down at those lows. Again, great risk to reward if that does end up playing out. Or wait for the break and retest of these lows here, which essentially was the original trade I was looking to take, the retest of this. So waiting for price to get back underneath, wait for the retest, and look for the continuations back to the downside. So for me, I'm bearish on Euro USD. As long as we stay below this level here, I'm bearish, because if we get above that, you might be seeing price, I don't know, maybe making a higher low here and continue to the upside. It's been a lot choppy. It's been very, very choppy for Euro USD, especially with the news coming in and whatnot. We do have some more news coming in a lot this week, so price action could be all over the place. But it does look quite clear to me, and I'm looking at taking some sales to the downside from that level if price does pull back into that. But if it doesn't, because we had quite a nice bearish engulfing there on the 4H, that momentum might take us to the downside. I'll wait for the retest of this, and then I'll go short back down into those lows here on the left, and then maybe 1.15 down there as well. So that's what I'm looking at for Euro USD. Looking at price giving us that lower high, and we're also coming into that also coming back into that 50% mark of that fib from that high to the low there. 50% is around there, which it kind of just wicked into almost perfectly there. I'm not gonna lie, actually, almost perfectly into that 50%. So now I'm expecting that continuation to the downside for Euro USD. I'm just not sure if we'll get that pullback into that level or the break and retest. Either which way, sales are looking good for me to the downside for Euro USD. And CAD JPY I did have on my watch list for some sales this week, but it kind of moved during the Asian session. We saw that move in the Asian session there. We had a nice bearish engulfing down the 4H. So I was looking to get short from that, but obviously I went to bed and that's happened there. So I've missed the opportunity, but I can still see more downside for CAD JPY. CAD JPY, I'm looking for a test of this resistance here on the left. Now turn support, which we kind of just about missed last week with that spike there. So I'm expecting price to come back down and test that area at 91. Nice psychological level there as well. So you've seen a very, very strong impulse. So I think for CAD JPY, looking for retracement, but I'm not too sure if we'll see much retracement because I'm expecting some impulsive price action to the downside. So I don't think we'll see anything crazy. At best, I think CAD JPY back into here and then the sell off. If you start seeing CAD JPY impulsing back into the upside, then I'm just going to consider all this price action here just to be a range and probably leave CAD JPY alone if it does do that, if it starts impulsing back into the upside. But if you do see a bit of like corrective nature back to come and retest the underneath of this support here, because we had a bit of a false break last week, price came retested it, nice break there. If it can retrace, retest that level there on the 4H, you can look for your entries on the lower time frames, whatnot, and then kind of just trade that to the downside, which is about 60-70 pips to the downside, which does look quite good, and we might even break through that and go a little bit further as well. So yeah, I can see CAD JPY continue to the downside. Just hopefully you can get a bit of retracement first before we do see this impulsive leg continue. So yeah, CAD JPY, I'm pretty much bullish on JPY and USD this week. I'm expecting some strength in the JPY and USD really. And I'll hold that bias until price proves otherwise. We do have a lot of news this week, so I'm not too sure if that will hold out, but we will see. Okay, this week I'm going to change the US time as well. Thinking of shorting Euro USD 1.1580. Let me go see. But I hope that analysis cleared up things. Okay, so 1.1580. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, if you can get underneath that, that makes sense. If you want to shorten the break, that's fine as well. I'll be waiting for the retest on the lower time frames. So maybe hourly or 15-minute, depends how price is moving. But if you can get the retest of that, then yeah, I do say that looks like a good trade. I'm with you on that one. Again, you probably want to put your stop loss either above that wick or above this level here, because if it is a false break, price might want to come back and retest this before it does move in your direction. So I think stops above there will make the most sense. But essentially, your USD back down to these lows, it does look good. Yeah, I'm expecting price to probably wick into 1.15 as well. Since we had this massive drop here and didn't take out these lows, normally when you see impulsive stuff like that, especially if you have liquidity, 9 times out of 10 we're taking out the previous lows, previous highs. So I think we do have a good, high probability move of price coming back down to lows now for Euro USD. Just waiting for the right time to get in. I can get a good stop loss in the market as well. Nice cheer. I mean, I had the same idea for pretty much most USD pairs and JPY pairs. I was looking at Euro JPY for some sells, but again, all the JPY pairs kind of sold off overnight for me during the Asian session. So I haven't been managed to catch any of them, but they, again, you can see pretty much at the same time, they do the exact same thing. So again, there's no need to trade all of them. Just find the best one and look for that one. But Euro JPY, nice lower high there, looking bearish. As for Euro JPY, I'm looking at price potentially, at best, because I still do realize Euro JPY is a very, very, very bullish market. If I go on the weekly, you can see price is very bullish here. This is potentially the higher low forming. We could see price making higher highs soon, well, within the next few weeks maybe. So I'm aware of that. But if price does have like a healthy retracement, because this is quite a big bullish move, and a healthy retracement for Euro JPY could be back into this level here. And then maybe you can see some continuations there for Euro JPY. So if that is the case for Euro JPY, back into this, support there, resistance, which never got retested, that is still a nice downside move to look to capitalize on, and then we can switch our bias and go along if we do see a strong reaction from that level. But if Euro JPY does play out, we could still see a push to the 131 area. I know price is a little bit choppy now. It's not the cleanest move there, as you can see, very up down, but if price is moving like this, it's normally because price is retracing, it's correcting itself for another impulsive push to the upside. So overall, Euro JPY and most JPY pairs are very, very bullish, and I probably do expect them to continue in the long run with the price action we've got recently. But I think we might see them retrace a little bit more. So, CAD JPY, very, very bullish pair recently, but I think we'll probably see some downside for that one a little bit. Same with Euro JPY, same with Pound JPY, which we did see quite a lot yesterday and overnight as well, because again, Pound was quite weak. Pound JPY has taken out this support here, which I did say on my weekly analysis that if you can break underneath this, you can wait for the retest, or you can wait for price to come back into this trend line here, which one comes first really. I said if we do retrace into the trend line, you can look for sells or the break and retest. You can see we've had the break, not really the retest. You can argue maybe that's the retest there. But again, I'm not sure if we would have taken that because it's a little bit aggressive. That could be a false break. But this is certainly a break there to the downside. So if price can come back into this level, there could be some nice sells there for GJ to the downside. Back down to 154. My target for this week was 155, which price actually passed that now. So I'll be looking at 154 next for GJ. Again, there's still a lot of resistance and areas here that price is not retested, so we could still see a lot more downside. Potentially 153 is where price can come into, really nice resistance there. Could see a retest of this level, and then from there we might continue bullish. I have no idea. We just have to judge it as price goes, but if we can still push on, probably end up at 154. So yeah, if I was looking at trading GJ, I'd probably wait for a retest of that level and then go short again, ride it back down to the lows. But for me, this has really seen quite a big move, so I'm not too sure if I'll be interested in that pair. Same with GUs, kind of almost at my target for the week as well, 1.36200. It's only really like Euro USD that has retraced, a healthy amount that makes sense for me to go short again and really maximize that risk to reward. A lot of these pairs, after the move last night and the move, a lot yesterday, the risk to reward is not looking good as a swing trader for a lot of these pairs. So Euro USD looks the best, looks the semi-cleanest as well. Gold has been a very, very choppy recently. We did see a bit of a sell-off here. I think that was last week. Yeah, that was last week here. And then we've seen some retracement. So gold potentially could be selling off again if we can stay below this trend line here, or at least below that resistance down the left. I can see gold coming down again. On the daily chart, price is looking very, very choppy. So again, it's not the pair on the top of my watch list, but it does make sense to go short there. And if I remember correctly, we also did break through this trend line quite aggressively there as well. As you can see, really nice trend line support, broke through really aggressively. Could be looking at a lower high, around about here, and we could be looking at another sell-off there for gold. I'll be focusing on Euro USD anyway, but if DXY does move up, gold will probably come down anyway. So just waiting to see if DXY can break through this resistance here, the 93,900 mark, because as you can see, this resistance here sent price all the way back down into this support and then these lows down there. So I'm not looking to buy into that / sell Euro USD into that level, but if Euro USD can break through that and retest this, we could be seeing some nice continuations to the lows, and same thing for the DXY. Which will probably help send gold to the downside if it can obviously get above that. But we'll see what DXY does. It might mess around for the day. Let me check the news just to see if we do have any news announcements coming out. I know we do, but I just don't know which pairs it's affecting. We had a lot of Euro news this morning. Okay, so for the rest of the day, it's pretty much smooth sailing. No high impact news. We do have some high impact news later today, 9:45, 10. for NZD and AUD. So just after well, around the time the daily candle's closing. So do watch out for that if you're trading any of those NZD or AUD pairs. But coming in tomorrow, we do have a lot in the morning, some pound news, euro news, USD news as well, some more USD news and more USD news. So again, a lot of news tomorrow, but for today, majority of it we should be okay now until coming into the end. So hopefully if you can get something later for Euro USD, should be smooth sailing, and hopefully you can get some trades in before the news tomorrow. If not, we'll wait and see. But Euro USD is at the top of my watch list. I was also looking at pound CAD and pound CHF a lot for some selling opportunities. Pound CAD I'm still kind of looking at, but I wanted to see price retrace a little bit further to the upside for me first before we do expect to see that continuation. I mean, it doesn't have to. Pound CAD doesn't have to see that retracement. It can still continue to the downside, and it doesn't have to retrace that far. But essentially, I was looking for price to have the break and retest. I mean, I've been talking about this for ages now, which is done successfully there. And I'm looking for price to come back down and test these lows here on the left, which price still hasn't done yet, so there's still some downside left. And then potentially new lows at 1.68 as well. So that's what I'm expecting for pound CAD. But I did say I want to see another test of this trend line or another lower high somewhere. A lower high could come here, but I want it to be worthwhile, and then take some shorts to the downside. But essentially I do see pound CAD continue to the downside, but I'm not too sure if there will be a trade for me. And obviously pound CHF as well. I think Chia, you were in that trade line. It's been moving sideways, but I think finally we're going to get the breakout to the downside now for pound CHF. And again, we do have fresh resistance here all the way down there. Now turn support, which I do see price come and test. Because essentially we've had such an impulsive move here to the upside. Now expecting potentially price to form a higher low here and then start moving to the upside again. But because it's been rejecting this resistance for some time now and it's starting to put in some lower highs in the market, I can see a break to the downside. If it does break out this, it should be quite an impulsive break. And I'm expecting to see a retest of this 1.22 mark. So pound CHF, I think it's got a lot more downside again. That was the weekly time frame as well. I think it's got a lot more downside to come and test these lows here. So I'm looking for just a little bit of retracement for pound CHF. Again, nothing too major because I'm expecting quite an impulsive break. And if it is impulsive, we shouldn't see much retracement. So I'm looking for price to come and see if we can tag into that, give some price action and could see some nice sells, or potentially tag into this level here on the left. And then see some sales from there. Either which way, I'm looking to sell pound CHF to the downside because I think we're seeing the breakout now, and I don't think we'll see much retracement in the move. So pound CHF to 1.22 does look good, and I think pound CAD's coming down as well, maybe even past 1.68. Pound USD is coming down. So overall, I can see a lot of pound weakness in the charts here. So it's not a bad idea looking to sell pound CAD. How do you tell the difference between a fake out and a breakout? Well, it's quite simple. A fake out, you can't really tell the difference between fake out and a breakout until it's actually happened. So if you have essentially here, because this is a good example, you can see here this is a really nice support. So really strong support there on the daily. We had this massive bearish push to the downside. Now, for us to understand if this is a fake out or breakout, well, for me anyway, the way I trade, if it's a successful break, I look for the retest and then look for the continuation. So a breakout for me is justified by a retest, but again, not all the time you do get a breakout. Sometimes you get, a retest. Sometimes you get a breakout and price just flies off in the direction, which is not the trade that I take. I take the break and retest, so that confirms to me, yes, we are breaking in that direction, and that I can base a trade from that. So that's how I tell if it's an actual breakout. If it's a fake out, normally you see the break and then price comes straight back in. So that's why I don't like taking trades on the breakout, because I'm not sure if price is going to come in or come back and retest and then continue. So that's why I always say wait for the break and retest, because it gives you that extra confirmation whether yes, we are truly going in that direction, or we're just faking out. So that's how I tell the difference between a fake out and a breakout. But again, you always do have those trades that do look good, but you never got the retest, so you never got an entry. But that's just trading. There's no perfect strategy that will take into account all different types of trades. Some you're going to miss, some you're going to take. You just want to put yourself in the best position possible. So yeah, for me, if it's a fake out, we'll see price snap back in. And if it's a breakout, you see price come back and retest and continue, or just continue. And the ones that just continue, we leave alone. The ones that come back for the retest, we look for our entries, at that retest. So, yeah, that's essentially what we're looking for a break and retest. That's why I don't take breakouts. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with taking breakouts, but it's just not an opportunity that I look to trade. But yeah, pound USD, I'm mainly focusing on what happens at this level now, because for me, price is almost at that target. So I just want to see how price reacts with that now. With this level, if it does hold it, there could actually be some buys. If price just breaks through, then yeah, we'll be looking to get some continuations, because I do see pound USD coming back down to these lows here, 1.34500, 1.34 more or less. Back down to lows, and that means DXY will probably move back to highs, maybe even higher as well. We still do have, if I go on the weekly time frame, we still do have this high over here on the left that price might want to come and retest, or break. I'm not sure, we'll see. But yeah, that still could happen there for the DXY, which will help pound USD go down. But so far, pound is just quite weak now, so it does look like we could be continuing to sell off. Euro still having some trouble, still holding on to that support. So like I said, still waiting for that break and retest of that low, or waiting for a push into there and then the sell off. Either which way, expecting Euro USD to head to the downside. USD CAD looks like it's breaking to the upside here. Again, I've been speaking about USD CAD and my weekly analysis. I said wait for the break for this one, because either which way it could be a nice trade for USD CAD, either to the downside or to the upside. If it was to the downside, I said USD CAD could be coming back down to these lows here, retest that resistance, turn support. And if it was to the upside, I do think we can come back and retest this area here. Really nice support there as well, will be turn resistance. So USD CAD looks like it's breaking to the upside. Again, we do have this trend line here, which I've noticed that price is starting to hug onto. As you can see, connecting that wick there in these bodies. Prices failed to break through this area. And it looks like it's putting in these higher lows and getting ready to break to the upside. It did excuse me, it did do that over there as well, but obviously then we had that massive bearish engulfing there, which kind of just got rid of all that price action, but it's starting to do it again. So essentially, if we can see a daily candle closure above this level here, which we've got all these wicks, I think we can see some nice continuation. So today is Tuesday. If we see the close above there, and then on Wednesday, you can be waiting for some retracement to come back and retest either the trend line or the top of this consolidation. And you can look for your longs to the upside in the break and retest. And yeah, looking to take profit around 1.25. So that could be happening there for USD CAD. And again, that ties into the fact that USD is going to be bullish. Obviously, if that doesn't happen, then obviously USD is bearish. But that also, adds to the correlation of USD being bullish. So I'm expecting USD CAD to come up. Again, you've used the CHF. If you do see that false break, you'll probably see that move to the upside, which again does mean USD strength. USD JPY is the only one that's a little bit different, because again it's partnered with the JPY, which is quite similar in strength sometimes with USD. So they don't move like the other USD pairs, like Euro USD, Pound USD, USD CAD. They don't move like those pairs. A little bit more choppier. But as you can see here, USD is not looking the best against JPY. JPY is obviously the much stronger pair. But USD coming back into this level of support. Again, I did say for USD we're still bearish on USD I'm expecting to move to the downside. Again, if you haven't checked out my weekly analysis on this pair, feel free to go do so. We had this weekly resistance here on the left, that price is still in, which I'm expecting to see a bit of a move to the downside from. You can see very, very strong reactions from that. So I was expecting to see USD take a little bit of a breather to the downside. Again, nothing too crazy, but just see a little bit of a move to the downside. So that's why I'm bearish on USD since of where it's trading. Now we'll come back into this support. So there's two opportunities you could be looking at for USD. Well, two opportunities that I'm looking at. Price respecting the support again, pushing to the upside, forming a lower high somewhere, and then you can look to get involved in that lower high for sales, sell it back down to that drop to the downside. Or we might just drop to the downside because we have taken liquidity above above both those highs. So we might just see the drop, and if that's the case, break and retest is the way to go. And then yeah, some more sales to the downside for USD. What is it in balance? Again, not really my expertise. That's more to do with like institutional trading and smart money concepts. But from what I'm aware, is basically where price has a big impulsive move and it doesn't retrace that move. So essentially, balanced market is where price kind of does this. It it retraces, it retraces. That's like a balanced market. And the imbalanced market is when price does a massive move, doesn't retrace it, massive move. So it's kind of got all of this where orders haven't kind of been like, come back and, initiated. So what you see is price, eventually it runs out of energy and it comes back and refills that imbalance, something like that. So again, it's not something that I use into my trading a lot really. I'm not that aware of those trading styles. Again, I've got my own which I use, but that's from what I understand imbalances. So something like this here, you can consider that's imbalance there, and price will eventually come back and retrace through that and break through. But yeah, we will have to see if price does that. I mean, I think it will, because it's at that really strong weekly resistance, but we could see that. Hey Will, what you saying? Welcome to the stream. Another little cameo appearances. But yeah, essentially if we do hold that resistance, yeah, I do see that area getting filled, which is kind of like imbalanced there in the weekly and everything. So again, that's more smart money concepts, institutional type of trading. Again, a lot of people do trade that online, so they're probably more better off to tell you and inform you on that type of trading than myself. But from my knowledge, that's what I understand imbalance to be. Oh wow, and the USD is starting to take a dive. AU as well. Okay, I didn't realize. I haven't actually taken a look at these pairs. So the last time I looked at these pairs, we were trading up there. Okay, so it looks like USD is definitely strong across the board here. From what I'm seeing here, well, AU and NZD are definitely weak, but it looks like we potentially could be seeing a move to the downside for all of these USD pairs, I reckon. Again, this is clearly consolidation here for NZD USD. Clearly price, stuck in that range and, struggling to break either up or down. But yeah, I think we can break to the downside, because I was expecting price to break up. And since it had that false break and it's come back and retest that resistance and fall down so aggressively, it's telling me that price actually wants to come down. So as for targets for NZD USD, we do have this clear level of support and resistance here, which price respected not too long ago as support, resistance, good move to the downside. broke quite easy there, but I think because we didn't actually come back with a retest, again, this is where you can use the imbalance concept as well. Price not retesting that. This is still fresh support as well. So yeah, I think we could be seeing a breakout for NZD/USD to the downside, back down into 0.70800. Come back and retest that maybe, and then see the continuations as well. So you could be looking at entries on the break and retest. Or if price decides to take another move up, you can probably look for sales up here again. And again, the risk to reward is much better if you do take sales from there rather than from the break and retest. But again, you have to stay reactive. You can't, always pick and choose what opportunity you have. The market will do that itself. But anyway, yeah, I think as the USD, if it does have a successful break, I'm not expecting it, just to suddenly dump to the downside. It can do, of course. We do have some news later on tonight for NZD and AUD. That could be the catalyst that breaks out of this consolidation. But essentially, I think as the USD is looking like it's on its way back down to those lows. So the break and retest is looking good for that one. AUD, I was looking for price to come up a little bit higher. I'm not going to lie, I was looking for price to come a little bit higher before the move to the downside. I've been looking at this kind of like neckline for the head and shoulders pattern for a while now for AUD/USD, for price to come back into this support. If this is the case and price is about to fall, we do have a bit of a trend line there. We could be seeing quite a big push to the downside because, again, price hasn't really retraced that much. So maybe about halfway of this, if I get the fib out, 50% around here, maybe come back into this support here on the left. That could make sense. And moving to that level there, it's in between the 50% and 0.618, and then from there we might turn bullish again, go test that neckline maybe, because we certainly have made a higher high and a higher low, and that is another higher high, so we could be seeing another higher low. But yeah, AUD/USD and the USD are both looking quite bearish here. So I would say for these pairs, waiting for a bit, retracing back up, and then the sell-off. We do have a nice trend line there forming now, connecting those lower highs. So maybe a test of that trend line or break and retest of this low. You can be looking for entries on that. But yeah, I would say I'm bearish now for AUD/USD, and could be seeing a move into 0.73400, maybe further. We do have this support in the left, which might cause price to struggle a little bit. Same thing for NZD/USD, we're coming into support here as well for that range. So both of those pairs are kind of stuck in support and they need a little bit of a kick to get going. And looking at the news with AUD and NZD both having high impact news events late tonight, that's looking like the catalyst that's going to provide the momentum needed to break through this. So hopefully for the rest of the day, if you are looking at trading these pairs, we can see some retracement, especially for AU. Can see some retracement to the upside back into that, and then coming later tonight we might see that break, or it could break to the upside again, we don't know. But if it does break, I can see a lot more downside for these pairs. Again, DXY struggling to break through that resistance there, so that could send price back down into this level here, which again could give us a nice opportunity to buy. And again, buying from here back up to the highs at risk to reward, looking very, very good. Or if you do manage to climb back above, same thing for EUR/USD. If price does push back into this level here, we'll be looking for sells back down into those lows, and then maybe 1.15 down there as well. Either which way, expecting that move. Or if price does get underneath, we'll look to sell there. That's essentially what I'm looking there for EUR/USD and the USD pairs. Again, not many two other pairs that I'm interested in. EUR/USD looks the best for me, so I'm focusing on that one the most. USD CAD, yes, could look good, but I'm saving that for tomorrow because I'm still waiting for a daily candle closure above that consolidation to confirm the break, and then I'll be dropping into the lower charts tomorrow for the retest of this to go long. Yeah, besides that, not much. NZD CAD, very, very choppy. Still above this level here, but if we can get back underneath, that will start to interest me in some sells. Break underneath this, could take some sells to the downside. Struggling to really push off from that support. I'm losing a lot of momentum, so I can see a push to the downside there for NZD CAD, so that will start to interest me a lot more if NZD CAD can get back underneath that level. But obviously I'm not sure if that will happen today, so again, not a pair that I'm focusing on right now. Pound NZD, I did say look for buys for this one, because again we'll come into a very key level on the weekly time frame. You can see here, if I take that to the left, really strong support here. Bit of a false break there, coming into that support again, so I can see pound NZD seeing a bit of a move to the upside. Prices wick to the downside down the weekly, but we're in that support. Let me just keep that support in actually. So prices pop to the downside just a little bit there. It's pushing back up. Again, NZD is quite weak right now, so that's obviously helping pound NZD move up, because pound is quite weak as well. So yeah, if we can see a daily candle closure back above this level, and then we'll wait for tomorrow for some retracement, and there could be some nice buys coming in for pound NZD to the upside. We're buying off a very strong weekly level, so we do have some strong support we could look to buy from. You can see that trend line there. That could be a nice target there to buy into, and then maybe if you're lucky, you can get a nice break of that to the upside. And I did say a retest of this support here, term resistance, which we still haven't actually had yet. That support term resistance never actually got retested. You can see the daily closed it, never came back, so that's still a reasonable target. If we do get back above this trend line, could look to buy back into there as well. So you can still see some upside for pound NZD, which does mean we might see a lot more weakness in the NZD, which might mean NZD CAD will come down, NZD USD will come down, which we're looking for. NZD JPY potentially could come down as well. That was looking quite bearish. Again, fell to the downside as well. So it looks like pretty much all these pairs for NZD are taking breathers now. I'm going to see some strength in the JPY and USD. It looks like price has made it the last high there, taking out that, pushing to the downside. Again, we can wait for the break and retest, or if price does push up again one more time, can look for sales around here and then take that further to the downside. But either which way, I think we can see more downside for NZJPY, and the targets for this one, I'll probably say this high here on the left, this resistance here taken across into that support there on that 80 mark. Really nice psychological level there, 80 on the dot. So again, that will attract price into it. But yeah, if NZJPY can take out this low here, we do have a quite a high probability chance of price breaking through that and continuing back down to that level there, which is looking like a good trade, because if I measure that in pips, that's about 100 pips to the downside. So if you can get a 20 pip stop loss, you're looking at 1 to 5, 25 pip stop loss, you're looking at 1 to 4, 30, even a 30 pip stop loss, still 1 to 3, which is still a good risk reward. So again, the risk to reward is looking very good for these moves, and they're all looking, they're all coming together at the same time, with the same price action, looking very similar. And you normally do get that a lot with these NZD pairs, JPY pairs, when they do set all at the same time. That's normally when they're all about to make the same move and change direction for a week or two. We had that a lot when price was getting ready for this big move to the upside for all the JPY pairs. They're all looking very similar, and they all took off at the same time. And now they're doing this at the same time, obviously because it's JPY. But price action is very clear and very similar for all of them. They're all pretty much consolidating a little bit and getting ready for that break to the downside. So that's what we're looking for kind of the JPY NZD pairs. I think NZD-USD and NZD-JPY look very similar, just consolidating, looking for that break to the downside. Same thing for NZD-JPY, consolidating, looking for that break to the downside. So again, in this case, if you're looking to trade it, just trade one pair, don't have to trade both. Pick the one pair that looks better. Again, for both of them, wait for the break and retest for an opportunity, or if price does pull back, and then you can sell. Same thing for NZD as well. But you can see for NZD we already put in a lower high over here. So that's why I think NZD might just drop, because you can see here we're making higher highs. You know, we've got the high there, higher high, higher high, and then we've got our first lower high and then a drop to the downside. Whereas NZJPY, we just made higher highs here. As you can see, same with USDJPY as well. We just made higher highs, pushed to the upside. So as the USD's already made that lower high, which means it could just drop and might take all of these with it. Or if we do pull back, it's because they want to make the lower high as well before they continue. So again, it's all about just staying on your toes. You know, I don't know which one's going to happen. They could just drop, they might pull back. And if it does drop, we simply wait for the break and retest, look for entries there. If it doesn't drop, find support and then it pulls back. We wait for price to make a lower high and take our trades there. Just trying to keep it as simple as possible, really. But it's just gone 11, so we just had a close of the hourly candle here. So you can see it's quite bullish there for Euro USD to the upside. Again, we're having a strong rejection from this support here. As you can see, was support many times here. You know, countless wicks into this level. Price broke to the upside, testing that level. Yeah, this support, gave us that big move there. So there is some value in that area of support, which is why I said, wait for price to get underneath this and the retest. This is a very bearish candle, which does look good to short on. It looks very good to short on, but the fact that price is coming into that support, that's essentially kind of the number one rule in my trading. I look to buy from support, sell from resistance. So if I'll take that trade there, I'm essentially going against that, selling into support, which doesn't make sense, according to my plan. So I'll wait for price to break and retest that. And then get involved there, or price can just come into that resistance and then I sell it. So it just depends which one it will do. But yeah, it's found some resistance kind of like halfway between them, so I'm not too sure if price will just hold this and then dump to the downside, or if it will come into that. Either which way, I'm bearish on Euro USD. I'm just looking for that opportunity. Again, that's the same thing with swing trading, which I will be doing a video about next week. So do look out for that. And actually, I do have a video coming out this week, well today actually, looking at how to take advantage of ranging markets, and looking at the break and retest of them as well. So make sure you do look out for that. Euro AUD, sure thing. We'll take a look at Euro AUD. Hey sub, thanks a lot. Appreciate that. Haven't even looked at Euro AUD yet. Okay, yeah, Euro AUD for this pair. Again, this pair has been extremely bearish recently. And again, I have been expecting Euro AUD to come back down to these lows, which it still hasn't tested yet for Euro AUD. You can see we come quite close, but still not there yet. But I think because Euro AUD has been falling to the downside for ages without seeing much pullbacks. We've seen some bullish candles, yes, but not really seen anything too major in the pullbacks. So we can still see a bigger move to the upside as price pulls back, but I think eventually we'll still come back down to these lows. But if I go into the 4H time frame, you can see price has broken through. Oh, that's the wrong tool. Price has broken through this trend line here, which I was saying that if price can hold this trend line, we can see some nice continuation. If not, and we break through, price might be looking for that deeper pullback on the daily before it does come bearish. So Euro AUD is breaking through that trend line quite aggressively there, so it's looking quite bullish right now. And again, like I said, AU is looking quite weak. So I do think Euro AUD can see a lot more upside. So I think because we just made a higher high above that previous high there, and as you can see, that's the first time we made a higher high since looking at the price action going up there. So we potentially could be seeing a bit of a reversal here for Euro AUD. So I said I'll be saying if this is a reversal or release price looking for a deeper pullback, wait for price to pull back, give a higher low somewhere, and then you can look for some buys to take this one higher for Euro AUD. So yeah, that's what I'll be looking at As far as you do have nice resistance here on the left, which will be turned support. So if you can pull back into that, that'll be nice. But essentially just looking for a higher low somewhere and then take that into the upside, because we've just made a higher high, looking for the pullback and then the continuation. But I do think, eventually after that we'll probably end up, falling to the downside and go and test that daily low. So it's nothing to hold on for too long, from my opinion. But I think because we made a higher high there and very, very impulsive nature as well, and I do think AUD will come down, so I can expect this to continue. So yeah, hopefully you can see some retracement, a higher low somewhere. It might not be here, that's just the level that I just gave out there, but it might be, might be higher than that. If I do get a fib on this move, 50% is about here, so we might even pull back into that level there. So yeah, I would say for your AD, we made a higher high, wait for a pullback, could see some nice continuation for a higher high, can look for targets at around this resistance here, which is kind of like the next target up, and then if you break through that, can look at this resistance here, which is kind of the start of the trend line that I just drew. So yeah, Euro AUD could be seeing a bit of a reversal here, bit of a pullback, get some long trades, and then yeah, you can look to target those levels there on the left. But again, make sure you take your profit, take your partials, because we might turn bearish and come down, because overall the trend is still bearish for Euro AUD, but we could be seeing a bit of a deeper pullback first before we do continue bearish. So yeah, wait for a pullback, continuations into that lower high there, and then the next one, of course, if we do manage to break through that. And then yeah, after that I'll probably be getting ready for some shorts. If we do get up here, probably will be getting ready for some shorts again, if of course we get some bearish price action. But that's a very impulsive break, and I do expect to see AUD USD come down and see some weakness across the board for AU, which we have sort of seen already, but I think we could still see more of that. AUD USD, I can still see a bit more to the downside for that pair. AD CAD as well. AD CHF, we've seen a lot of downside, but I can still see a little bit more. So yeah, bit of upside for Euro AUD. Wait for the retracement, and you can just target those levels. And for AD CHF, we do have some interesting price action on the higher time frame, the daily, because this is looking like a really nice head and shoulder here. With the left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder. So, we could be seeing a reversal here. This here could just be retracement back into the neckline. And then from here, we could actually be expecting price to turn bullish again, potentially. If we can hold that support. Obviously, price is looking quite bearish right now, so it's not a long opportunity I'm looking at right now for ADCHF. But if we do see maybe a strong reaction to the upside, we could turn bullish. We're taking out this trend line here on the left, so right now price is very bearish and not really a pair that I'm looking at to turn bullish on just yet. But it's coming into a nice area. It's at a nice psychological level, 0.68 as well. So if we can start to hold this, maybe put a double bottom here on the 4H, something like this, nice reaction, double bottom, potentially a retrace back into that neckline of the double bottom there. Could look to drop to lower time frames, get involved in that retest, and maybe look for a swing to the upside. And if we're lucky, we could be looking at higher highs and a really nice continuation if this head and shoulder pattern does play out with the break and retest of that neckline. But right now the market is still bearish. We just had a quite an aggressive break of that trend line there. Like I said, AUD, I'm still expecting weakness for that one, so I'm definitely not going to get involved yet. But again, I'm a price action based trader, so if the price action does turn bullish again, I will be looking for my buys. So I do have that pair on the back of my head. It's a nice area where confluences do meet up with the head and shoulders there. Probably do have a little bit of a trend line here as well. So again, there's some confluence around there. We could be seeing some nice opportunities to go long, but just prices looking just too bearish now for that. And it might take a few days before we do get anything. So I'm putting that pair at the back of the watch list, but it's a pair that potentially could be looking good later on. Just nothing for me yet. Bitcoin's looking bullish again. Again, if you did watch my week analysis, we were expecting a move to the upside. Price is holding this key level of resistance and support. As you can see there, really nice resistance there. Resistance, break, hit that 67k mark, came right back down, retested, and had that massive drop to the downside, back down to that 30k, was it? Actually, no, yeah, 30k. And now we're holding that as support. So I do see price coming right back to these highs here for Bitcoin. So as long as we stay above 60k, we're coming up to these highs. And you can see that price is doing exactly that, looking bullish again. So yeah, if you're in some buys for Bitcoin, looking good. We've just taken out this trend line here, which price is squeezing to. So yeah, if you can get a pullback for Bitcoin, you know, use it as another opportunity to look to get some into some longs. Ride that back to the highs, and I think if you do take out these highs this time, I think 70k could be the next next shout for Bitcoin, back to 70k. Not back to, it's never been there, but up to 70k Bitcoin could be heading to, if it can hold above that, of course. But yeah, Bitcoin's looking bullish. I think most cryptos are up as well. But yeah, as long as we stay above that, that analysis is still valid. And gold's still potentially struggling out of that trend line there. I'm not too interested in this pair, but if it does hold, might see some downside. Silver also looking a little bit bearish there, a lot more bearish than gold. But they do move quite similar. I mean, silver came to test a really key support recently, as you can see on the daily. Very strong reactions to the upside, false break there, strong reaction to the upside. They tested there, really nice reaction to the downside, and again seeing a reaction to the downside. So not Euro AD, silver is bearish, and normally silver and gold do correlate in the same direction. So as silver drops, normally you do see gold follow, or vice versa. Yeah, if gold drops, silver normally follows as well. Before the interest rate reading, what do you mean? Like, where was price before the interest rating came out? Because let me just check. Because we haven't had interest rates for pound today, unless you're talking about last week potentially, and also euro, we haven't had any interest rates either. Well, yeah, I'm not too sure. Again, well, I assume price was, you know, somewhere around there, but I wouldn't recall before it was the interest rates. Again, was the interest rates last week? Because again, we haven't had any interest rates this week for euro pound. So yeah, I would imagine, you know, pound would probably be, you know, up there before the interest rates came out, and same with euro along around here. But yeah, those interest rates would have been last week. Oh, last month? Yeah, I wouldn't know. Yeah, that sort of stuff I don't normally keep track of. Again, normally the interest rates and stuff I just stay away from. You know, I don't try and read into it too much, because it normally is up in the air trying to guess, you know, if what's going to happen with the interest rates, or how they're going to affect the market, or how far they're going to affect the market. I just try to stay consistent with the price action. So yeah, I wouldn't know the answer to that question. Again, normally, because when I'm back testing my strategy, back testing the way I trade, you know, each trade I don't normally take into account fundamentals with it. So I don't really look at fundamentals too much in the live market. I am aware of it because I don't want to be trading into some news. But if I'm in a trade and news does come out, I happily sit through the news. But yeah, something like that, I wouldn't know the answer to. Yeah, definitely not last month. But do you look at interest rates a lot then, or are you just starting to get into them, or understand them more? But yeah, I wouldn't know where price would be last month. Can't even remember what happened, to be fair. I know we had interest rates, but I can't remember what happened. Okay, just starting to understand. Oh yeah, So yeah, I don't really look too much at the fundamentals. I mean, I'm starting to get to learn a bit more. So again, I'm probably not too far off you in terms of just knowledge about fundamentals and how they work in the forex markets particularly. Again, I've been focusing on technicals for the past like 3 years now. And I'm only starting to get into fundamentals. I've always been aware of news, but I've always just been like, okay, there's news coming out, I'm not going to get into the trade, or there's no news, I can trade it, or there's news coming out in the trade, I'll sit through, stop loss to break even. Never really looked at how it impact the chart, or try and understand, okay, because this happens, it could be bullish or bearish, which is something that I'll be looking to add to my game. Not necessarily change the way I trade, because I don't have anything wrong with the way I trade, but it could use it into my game. Hold some trades longer or not take a certain trade. It could start to filter out some of the bad trades I take just by understanding the fundamentals. So yeah, it's something that I'm still learning about and still looking to get into more of. So yeah, so definitely not the best person to ask about that. But yeah, I wouldn't remember where the price was before interest rates last month. But EU seems to be retracing a little bit there on the hourly. So again, still looking bearish. But again, still waiting for price to do what it wants to do. Again, as price is just in this area, I'm not too fast about it. Not too fast about price in that area, just waiting for it to break to the downside or come back and retest that, and that's where my eyes will start to light up, and then we can look at some sales back down to 1.15300, 1.15. Either which way, I'm just looking for that to happen and then take some sales. How's the DXY looking? DXY is starting to poke its head above that resistance, which is a good thing. That previous voyage kind of did pull back there, but this one's just darting off to the upside. So yeah, if we can see a strong close above that, and I mean a very strong close. In fact, I'll probably say wait for a full H close above that to really confirm a break, because if I go in the hourly chart and just scroll to the left, you can see we had a nice close above there. There was a false break, kind of a semi-close there, was a false break there. So full H close, which still kind of hasn't happened yet. You can argue maybe that one there. If you see a nice full H close above there, that should be almost confirmed as a break, and then we'll wait for the retest and the continuation. But we really are starting to push to the upside here for the DXY, but we've still got 37 minutes before that candle closes, so I'm not going to get too caught up in what that candle is doing. Euro USD is pulling back nicely there, but again, still need to wait for price to break through that at least. And pound still looking bearish as well, still pushing down. So like I said, pound USD almost at that target, so I'm not really interested in price. I wanted to see that pull back into this level before price comes down, but we haven't got that move. But Euro USD has given me that retracement, so it is the pair that I'll be looking to see what happens. And I'll probably drop maybe to the 15 minutes again entry if it is the break and retest of this level. If it's the retest of this and price finds support here again and pushes back into that resistance, then if that's the case, I'll look for the hourly time frame entry. So I'll wait for candlestick patterns on the hourly. If it's the break and retest of this level, I'll probably drop to the 15 for entry for two reasons. Simply because of the risk to reward, and you might not get any price action on the hourly. It might be, price breaks underneath this level here with a nice bearish candle. The next candle might open up, it might wick into this level here, and then from there it might just drop to the downside like that and continue, and that'll be the break and retest on the hourly, which doesn't really give you a candle to entry on. You can enter on that candle there, but again your stop loss will be a lot further from the level you're looking to trade from. So I'll probably drop to the 15 to see if I can get some candlestick patterns of the break and retest of that level in the 15-minute, and then take some sells to the lows. But I think here will be fine enough to take some sells there on the hourly time frame. Again, risk towards looking good. If you can get some sells around there, you should be looking at about a 90 pip move to the downside. And then if I do hold on for a 1.15, which is some new lows, it could be looking at around about 114 pip move, or give or take pips either way. But it's more than enough pips to catch if you do see a move up there. But price is really starting to struggle at break this resistance here. So again, that might mean that we get the break and retest entry. But we will see. This candle still does 35 minutes left before it closes. It's not even halfway. Candles can be very, very deceiving, especially when they're opened and moving, which is why I'm a big advocate of always, if you're looking for a trade, wait for your candle closure to check your computer, check your phone, or check your laptop. So if I'm waiting for an entry confirmation on the hourly, I'll check on the hour, see if there's anything there. If there is, I'll take a trade. If there's not, I'll get off my computer or do something else for another hour and then come back and check. Because a lot of the time you see a bearish candle, you get excited, or a bullish candle, you get excited, you might get the fear of missing out, so you enter too early and price starts to pull back and it just gets ugly. So I always just wait for the candle closure to come and check the charts. I'll do all my analysis in the morning or analysis in the evening, but for entries and the price in certain areas, just wait for the candle closures and don't get too caught up in price moving in between. So this is obviously the hourly chart, still 34 minutes left. So if I wasn't obviously doing the stream, and I wouldn't be looking at the chart right now, I'll be waiting for 12 for the next hour to come, to check the chart if there's any confirmations or if we've broken through this. And then if it's the 15-minute, I'll wait every 15 minutes before I check the chart. So that's how I kind of look to take my breaks and look to enter the market. But the only reason why I'm looking at it now is because obviously I'm doing the stream and I'm analysing the chart for you guys, so that's why. But essentially, if I wasn't, that's what I would be doing. You can see DXY is still trying to poke its head above that level. How's the JPY pairs doing? Your JPY retracing a little bit, but still quite bearish overall. CAD was still expecting, hoping for some retracement back into this kind of area here. Really nice support here on the left. You can see how many wicks we've had into this area. I said earlier, a nice break and retest of that for CAD JPY. Could be some nice sells back down to 91. Again, hoping to see that retracement because we might not get it. Price might just drop. But yeah, break and retest of that, sells to the downside for CAD. GJ still looking to see if we can get a break and retest of this level here. Still quite a long way up if price wants to retrace there. But we'll find out and see if price can obviously give us that move. UCJPY still waiting to see if you can get a higher low somewhere. Lower high, sorry. Lower high somewhere and then take some sells. Because we'd be making higher highs, so maybe another move up, lower high than the drop. Or break and retest. Is still looking quite valid for some sells as well. US 30. US30 overall still looking quite bullish here. As you can see, still pushing to the upside. Had a break through this previous high. We did see a bit of a bearish candle there, but price is still moving up. Again, we just tapped into 36 there as well, which I did say last week on my live stream. I said, because price was over here consolidating last week, and I said wait to see which way price breaks through this consolidation. If it impulsively breaks to the downside, we're probably going to continue down, wait for some retracement and wait for the continuation. If we break to the upside, which we did, wait for some retracement, and then we'll probably come back into these highs. And if you do see highs, it's probably be at 36, which is up there. And as you can see, price just about poked into 36 not too long ago. So we're still looking bullish there for US30. We're testing these previous highs here now as support. Had a strong close there on the 4H time frame with that doji there, price engulfing that as well. So it's looking bullish overall here for US30, and we could be seeing price coming back down, not back down, sorry, back up into these highs here on the left at 36 again. We're starting to clear this resistance here, so yeah, I think US30 will probably continue into those highs. Maybe we can get another retest of this, and there could be some nice long opportunities there. If we break underneath this, then we could see some sales coming back in. But as of right now, price action is still looking quite bullish, so I wouldn't say that opportunity is looking likely just yet. But if we do pull back aggressively and we do see a close underneath, we might be seeing a bit of retracement to the downside, and maybe come back and retest this next level of support, which gave us the momentum needed to break through that previous high. So if that is the case, there could be some nice sales back down there. But if we just stay above that, you can either look at going long there or wait for another retest to go long again. And I'll probably say 36k, and then maybe some new highs as well. Maybe even 37. Actually, no, 37 is all the way up there. Yeah, I don't think we'll hit 37. We could hit 37, but I just don't think we'll hit it in the next couple of days or so. So yeah, probably 36 again, or if it gets underneath, back down to that support there. But overall, US30 is still quite bullish. USDCHF still hanging on to that level there. Either which way, I think there could be a nice move for US30, even if it sells or buys. There probably will be still a nice move for that one. Like I said, I'm more leaning to the buy side of things because I think DXY is going up. But the thing is, I did that last week. I was expecting, or was it the week before? I was expecting DXY to go up. So I was expecting DXY to go down. So I wasn't interested in selling USDCHF, but if I did take the trade, you can see would have been a really nice sell to the downside. But again, it's not a trade that I would take even with hindsight, seeing that it did go down, because I want to take my optimal trades, which is when everything agrees with each other. Obviously, trading is not perfect. Sometimes they won't agree, but it'll work, and sometimes they'll all agree and it will fail. So it's all about consistency. And just doing the same thing over again with rinse and repeat, really. So that's why I didn't take that trade. So if it did fail, I'll be like, it failed, it didn't agree, but then it worked. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, just moving on to the next opportunity. But USDCHF, I'll probably wait for daily candle closures to confirm if this is a false break or not. You can see previously we were holding that as really nice support. We had this break which could have given us something to the downside, but it was false. We closed back above, came for the retest, and we saw a reversal to the upside. This time we held support, broke through it. This is either price pushing back to retest the level, and then we could see some nice continuation back down to lows, or price is wanting to have a false break, close back above. We'll wait for the retest of that level, which again, this trade will be only valid for tomorrow, because we need to wait for this daily candle to close, see if it's going to close bullish or pull back. So that means tomorrow we can see what happens with the daily candle closure, wait for the retest. If it is obviously a false break, and go long back into 0.91900. But if it is a false break, then the retest of resistance tomorrow will look good as well, and we take that back down to 0.90400. So either which way, like I said, it does look like a good trade. Just want to see what the daily candle gives us, and I'm looking for DXY to push on. So I'm expecting some buys, but we will see. Go Matt, you try very hard, but the thing is, it's too complicated to understand. Yeah, I'm not on the short. What are you trying to do there? If it's too complicated, I can simplify it down if you want. That's what the chat is for. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask. If you want me to take a look at pair, feel free. I'll take a look at it for you. And if there's anything, any terminology or something you don't understand, I'll simplify it down for you. If you don't understand anything. Again, USD CAD is also another pair that we're waiting for a daily candle closure. If you can close above this, then I can see a breakout to 1.25. Because all this consolidation still failing to get a closure above. You can see all these wicks, and if you can get a closure above that, then yeah, we're looking at a push to 1.25. Come and retest that support. Now turn resistance. So wait for the daily candle closure to confirm the break, of course, because this candle's still got 9 hours left. It can still pull back, it can push on, do whatever. But if it can close above that like that, that'll be a nice candle closure. We'll wait for some retracement and then a continuation back up to 1.25, and you can see we're sitting comfortably above this trend line there as well. So if we can hold that trend line intact, that could keep us going to the upside, and you could either be looking at some buys at the retest of the trend line or the retest of that resistance as support, and look for that push to the upside. But it agrees with what I'm expecting with the DXY. So overall, it does look like a good opportunity. Just need to wait for some price action, wait for that daily candle closure to confirm the break. So we're in the right direction of the daily and 4H. Nice confluence there, and you can be looking to go long off that push back to 1.25, and then from here we will actually see some nice sales back down again. But again, that's probably a trade for next week probably, or this week. You might see some crazy momentum. We don't know. Pound CAD, still looking at this one, hoping for some retracement. I'm not too sure if we would get it anyway. Prices overall still bearish on the daily. You can see dropping to the downside. This is giving us another lower high. I'm still expecting price to push on back down to 1.68 past these lows here. So yeah, I'm still looking at that, but I wanted to see some retracement, but I'm not too sure if we will get that. We might just fall from where we are right now, which is not the trade that I'm looking for. I'm wanting price to retrace a little bit more for me first, and then sell it back down. Now again, I was looking at the trend line at the start of the week, but the chances of us pushing up there are looking slightly on the slim side. So might just look for a little bit of retracement up and then take it down. We do have a nice support, turn resistance here. That price had a nice break and retest earlier, so maybe if we do push into there could be some nice sales. Again, I want to see some really good price action if I am to look to take it, just because I'm not too far away from support, which is not really where I want to be looking to get into my trades. I'd rather get into the trades up here, but up here was just far too messy. I remember on my stream last week or the week before, I said I do expect to see pound CAD come down, but just because it's so messy, prices putting wicks everywhere, essentially consolidating, and I said I'll leave the pair alone. Then we also had that massive drop to the downside, price retrace, it was looking good, but then it dropped again, and I didn't manage to get into a trade for that one either. So probably an opportunity missed here for pound CAD, but if it does retrace one more time, I definitely will be looking to get some shorts. Hello Rex, how are you doing? Hope you are doing well. Welcome back to the stream. Any pairs you got your eyes on? Any pairs that take your fancy? And CCH's been crazy bullish recently, actually. This one's been flying off to the upside. Starting to see some retracement, of course, because JPY is coming in with a bit of strength. But overall, CHF has been very, very strong. AD still looking weak coming into that support. Again, that break and retest opportunity still stands for me. You know, if we can get underneath that, I can see ADUSD falling. A bit of a trend line going on there, maybe. Yeah, not the best trend line because price is kind of like not really respected it much, but it was a bit of a trend line. First test there, second test there, third, fourth. You know, tested many times there, but got a little bit messy. Essentially, we've broken through that trend line, and now we can be seeing a bit of a dip in the opposite direction. So, looking at ADUSD coming back down and testing some levels here. At best, not at best, but you know, if the trade does really play out, we could see a push into 0.73 here on the daily. You can see really nice support going across there. We could come back and retest this. We're really respecting this trend line here as well. I'll just draw it in. You can see prices respect that many times. We could see a push back down into that level there and maybe a push on or breakthrough. But I think AU could be coming back down to that level there. So I think I'll wait for price to give me the break first, because if we hold on to this, we could still see a push down. I wasn't expecting price to come to test this level so impulsively, because I did say if this level does hold, we could see price turning bullish again. But because it did it so impulsively, DXY is starting to look bullish. DXY is starting to look bullish, so I'm not too sure if we will hold this. But yeah, if we can break through this, then retracement back onto there, and some sales do look good for ADUSD. Yeah, we've seen a lot of momentum. We've seen a lot of momentum come into the markets again overnight. Asian session, London starting to stall a little bit, but they could be warming up again. They could be warming up again for another move, but yeah, I agree with you, and I do expect to see more of that coming into this week. There's a lot more news announcements, and again, we do have the big one on Friday, NFP as well. It might cause a lot of volatility on that day, but yeah, essentially we could be seeing a week full of momentum, and just hopefully, you know, we stay on the right side of it. Still shorting AU since yesterday. Nice. AU should be in some nice healthy profit there as prices come down there. Like I said, I still can see AU coming further down. It needs to break through this support first here, 0.74620. If it can break through that support, I can still see price coming down, but essentially, you know, I can see price coming down back down to these lows here. I mean, you know, whatever your target is, probably want to respect that. You know, whatever your TP is, but you know, essentially I can see AU coming down a lot further. You know, next target if it breaks through that support will probably be this resistance here. So yeah, it's looking good for AU, so definitely looking like a great trade there, X. Can you check USD? Sure thing. Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, I'll let you know if I do get a trade for the pairs that I'm looking at. I'll post it in my Telegram channel. So yeah, just make sure you're in the Telegram, and you know you'll find out. Nice. Keep it. I mean, if you're looking at pushing that trade, you know, you can take some profit off, and then maybe see if you can make that, you know, capture some more pips. But again, obviously you want to follow your plan. But this looks like a good trade there, catching it from right at the highs. But yeah, NZD I'm expecting more downside for NZD again, similar for AU as well. Again, both of them are quite similar pairs. But yeah, NZD essentially moving sideways here, stuck in this consolidation. But we're having such a tough time to push on. I do see a push to the downside now for NZD. We've just recently poked our head there, making some higher highs. but we're having trouble sustaining that and pushing on. I was looking, left a week ago, seeing if price can hold this as support. But from what it's doing, yeah, I'm not too convinced as if price will hold that support. I think we'll probably dip below. If that is the case, then I do see NZD coming back, retesting this support here, turned, support, resistance, back at support again. But essentially, this is a quite key level there. If I take that across, you can see it was nice resistance there as well. So looking at price coming into the 0.7, 0.800 level down the daily, you can see we now support there, resistance, but it does need to break through this. So you could be looking at either price retracing back up again, putting another lower high somewhere and then dropping, because we do have our first lower high over here on the left. So we've got a high there, next lower high, could be seeing a third, and then you can catch some sells. That's if obviously price fails to break the lows of this consolidation, it might push up again. Or you can wait for price to break through this and then catch the retest. Risk reward might not be as good, but again, we can't decide what the market wants to do. It might just break through. It's quite impulsive right now. It might just break through, or it could retrace for us. Either which way, I see NZD coming back down to test that support. You could argue you could actually refine this this consolidation area to this support here, because this is normally where price is focusing on, and then you could argue this here is a false break, closing below, closing right back above, and you can see test that support there, support there, support there. So probably I will stick with that actually. So yeah, if price actually closes underneath this, we could be looking at a break and retest of that, I would say. Just re-looking at this again. So if you do manage to close underneath this, we've got about an hour and 15 minutes left. So you can close underneath that, look for the break and retest on the lower time frames here to confirm it's not a false break like what it did here, because it could close back above into that consolidation area again. But if you can look at the lower time frame, see price turning bearish again on that one on the retest, could be some nice sells back down into these lows. If not, we retrace back up, look for a lower high, maybe at the test of that trend line. And if you do turn bearish again, sells to the downside. Each way, I do expect to see price come back and test that support. I think as long as we stay below that resistance there on the 4H, as long as we stay below that resistance, I can see price coming down. So yeah, looking for that break and retest and then take some lows. Again, don't really judge it too much on the hourly closes because it's a little bit messy. I drew this box using 4-hour bodies really. So you want to wait for a 4-hour close underneath, break and retest, continuation, or pull back and continuation. But yeah, I do expect these USD pairs to be going down. So AU, NZD, Euro, Pound to be coming down. Well, my lot size varies. I don't always use the same lot size because I do take trades of different time frames a lot. Sometimes I use 4H, sometimes I use hourly, sometimes I can even drop to the 15 minutes. So my lot size does vary a lot, and also because I do trade a wide range of pairs. So I don't normally stick to one lot size. Normally before each trade, I normally go onto a pip calculator on FXCM and normally measure out my pips and calculate the lot size I need to use for that exact trade. So I kind of, because I know some traders just have a lot size for their account and they just trade that lot size. But yeah, I like to kind of have my lot size for the exact amount of percentage loss that I want to have for each trade. So I kind of keep things as kind of systematic as possible, which does have a downside because you have to calculate your lot size for every trade and it's always different. But yeah, I use the pip calculator. I put in how many pips my stop loss is, which can vary from like 15 pips to sometimes like 70 or 80. So you can imagine the lot sizes do vary, and also the pairs as well. So yeah, I don't normally use a fixed lot size for my trades, and then we just calculate the pips of my stop loss, then base my lot size on that for the trade. But maybe if I get more capital, then I might consider just using a fixed lot size, just because it's a lot easier as well, and maybe stick to one time frame as well to enter my trades, because sometimes if I use 4H and use 15, it's a big contrast in stop loss and everything. So yeah, I might do that, but at the moment I calculate my lot size for each trade really. Okay, so USD is still struggling. Again, it's starting to consolidate a little bit, so I think I'll just leave this pair alone, see what happens, you know, throughout the day. We don't really have a USD or Euro news coming out later. We've already had Euro news early today, so I think we should be smooth sailing. It just depends what price wants to move into. Is it the resistance above or break the support below? And then yeah, we'll probably just work out of that. Yeah, 2 lots sounds about right. 2 lots sounds about right. I mean, again, it depends, you know, what kind of time frames you look to work off. If you're looking at lower time frames like 15-minute, you know, you could probably use maybe even a higher stop loss. I mean, not a higher stop loss, sorry, a higher lot size. But you know, if you're looking, I don't know, if you're generally your stop loss is around, I don't know, 30, 40 pips, I don't know, or you know what time frame you look to work off. You know, it does sound about right, but just it depends what time frame you use to enter, because you know, if you because you could either be consistent with your lot size, or you could be consistent with your percentage, the percentage per each trade. Because for me, I like to always risk either 2% or 1% per trade. So if I'm consistent with 2%, so when I take a loss, it's always 2%. So obviously the lot size does have to change. But yeah, if you're consistent with the time frame you're entering on, and sort of within the same pip range, then yeah, it does make sense. JPY is bullish. No, I think it's quite bad. Wait, depends what time frame. Depends what time frame you're talking about. One god. You're talking about 15-minute. You're talking about daily, weekly. Yeah, which time frame? Which time frame you talking about? Now I'll be able to be a bit more specific with my answer, because on the high time frames it's very, very bullish. 4H is actually bearish. Coming to the 15-5-minute, it's looking like it might be bullish again with that higher high and potentially a higher low there. Still quite a bearish market, to be fair. But yeah, what time frame are you talking about, one god? Okay, you both scalp and swing, so it makes sense. And if you're scalping, you know, your lot size might be different to a swing. You could obviously use the same lot size, but you know, you could probably maximize your rewards by using a higher lot size for your scalps, because obviously you'd imagine your stop loss would be a lot smaller. But it's obviously up to you how you want to trade. I don't want to tell you, you know, how you should trade your account. Okay, so 15-minute. I mean, from a technical speaking, yes, kind of is bullish. You know, disregarding that trend down the left, we've kind of got a bit of a base here where price is struggling to break, and it looks like we might be breaking out this high here. So it's a bit like a double bottom, and this is the neckline which price needs to get above, something like this. So the push, pull back, get above that, hold the neckline, and then reverse. So that's kind of like the pattern we're looking at there for pound JPY. But it has kind of been a little bit messy, kind of crept below, crept back above. So yes, sort of is bullish, but do be careful, because again, if we are successful with that push off, they'll come straight back into this kind of support and resistance and supply there, which could send price back down against you quite quickly, because overall the market here on the 50-minute, the trend is down, but from a structural speaking, it does look like we're turning bullish. So yes, it could be a trade. If this is like fitting your criteria to take the trade, then yes, take the trade. You can put your stop loss just below the wick here, or maybe below that low there if you want to be a bit more conservative with it. But right now we are quite pushing to the upside. So yeah, it does look like we've got that double bottom and the retest, and price is shooting up. So yeah, you could be looking at targeting that support turn resistance, or the resistance up here as well. Again, I'm still looking for retracement back into this level all the way up here, support turn resistance itself. So potentially could even see a move up there. I'm not too sure if we'll see that retracement to get that sell, but if price does get there, I'll be looking to sell. So that could happen. But yeah, it still is quite a bearish market, so it's still a bit of a more of aggressive type trade. Still more of aggressive type trade, but we could see that. What's up, Orain? No, well, I have looked at gold, but I'll look at it again for you. Yeah, so essentially looking at gold to come down for us. We do have really nice resistance going across here, looking for gold to come down back into these lows of this support. Maybe further, not too sure for gold, because I want to see DXY looking bullish again. So far it's having a hard time breaking through that resistance. So I'm not too sure if gold will see that momentum, but if gold can hold this trend line here, now I think we just put in a first lower high, second lower high, we could put a third lower high in, and another push into that support there. And we've also taken out this trend line here on the left, which is sort of getting a break and retest there as well. You can see really nice confluence of that trend line meeting with that bullish trend line. Retesting, could see a nice continuation to the downside if we can hold that. So yeah, I'll be saying looking at sells for gold. If we do start breaking above this, then we're probably turning bullish again, coming back to highs 1812, 1810. If we can hold this, which looks like we are doing, then I'll probably say go back down into these lows here. But it would be nice to see DXY start breaking through this resistance here, which will probably help gold out, because if DXY is pushing up, aggressively, gold will be coming down. But I do see gold coming down anyway. Euro USD, so yeah, Euro USD, I'm looking at selling this pair. I'm waiting for the break of this low here, and then the retest of that to get into some sells. Looking to swing it back down into these lows here, which is the prior lows, the prior weekly lows at 1.15300. So I'm waiting for the break and retest of this support here to sell it back down into these lows, and then potentially 1.15 there at some new lows. Or waiting for price to pull back and retest this resistance here, and then I'll look to sell it back down into the same target, 1.15300, and then maybe 1.15, depending how we're moving and we're getting there. But essentially we've had this massive impulse to the downside. We're taking out some stop losses above that high. I've got a fib out. It looks like we've just about wicked into 50%, or more or less 50% of this impulse. So want to see price continue the opposite, that will continue in the same direction to the downside, back down into those lows. So like I said, a break and retest of this level here. Probably look for entries on the hourly or 15-minute, whichever one looks best, probably 15, and take some sells into there. Or if it does break above this, we'll take some sells there to the downside. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for Euro USD, and I'll let you guys know if I get any confirmations. Again, feel free to check out my Telegram channel. I've got a link to that in the chat. I'll post an entry for Euro USD if I get anything. Again, we might not. If we do end up breaking through this resistance, I'll probably leave price alone for Euro USD. And yeah, probably reanalyze it again and see where we could be going next. But essentially, if you can hold it below that level, I'm looking for sells back down to lows. Yeah, gold is too choppy for me. I mean, I do like gold, but for me it's too choppy. It's been a lot clearer when it was all over here. this price action was quite clear of how it was moving. It got choppy around here, big impulsive break. I've stayed away from gold, and here it does look a little bit clearer. I'll give gold that, but again, for me, Euro USD still looks a lot better, so that's why I'm focusing on Euro USD. And haven't been the biggest fan of gold for the past few days now. Starting to make a bit more sense. But again, Euro USD looks better for me, so that's why I'm focusing on Euro USD for the move down rather than looking at trading gold. Yeah, US is looking strong. I'm expecting DXY to move up. I mean, DXY looks the opposite for Euro USD for me. We've got this key level here on DXY, key support, as you can see, just going through the market like that, giving us some really strong moves to the upside. So I'm essentially looking at price coming back to retest this support here at 93,700 and give us a move back up to highs there, 94,500 for the DXY. So just literally a break and retest, and then the continuations. But because it was finding support up here, I wasn't too sure if it's going to just move up and just miss that level. You know how price does that sometimes, just miss the place you're looking to get in and then turn around in the opposite direction. So I did say if you do break above that resistance, wait for the retest, and we could see some nice continuations back up to 94,500. Either which way, I'm expecting price to come back to the highs. So essentially US dollar strength coming into the market. If we start getting underneath this, then I'm not too sure about price. It might be coming back down again. It might just be choppy. I mean, this price action, here was quite choppy. Then it broke down, broke up. USD has been a little bit all over the shop, but I can make some sense of it if price can respect this level or that level, and I'll be looking at sells. I mean, well, sells for USD, but expecting DXY to head back up to 94,500. So makes a lot of sense there for USD. I'm expecting strength to come in this week for this pair, and I'm expecting Euro USD to come down, pound USD to come down, but pound USD has almost hit my target 1.36, so I'm not looking at selling pound USD anymore, just because it's right near the support that I was looking to sell it towards. So if anything, if pound USD can do some crazy retracement back to this level, then I'll start getting excited again, look to sell it back down. But here I'm leaving pound USD alone. I'm sticking with Euro USD, looking at sales back down into that level there. No problem, happy to help, but it is come to the end of the stream, guys. I will do a quick breakdown on some of the pairs that are on my watch list, some pairs I'm looking to trade today or maybe this week, and then I'll look to wrap up the live stream from there. But it is come up to the end, guys. Again, like I said, Euro USD, I'm looking for sales there. If I do get anything on this, I'll stick it in the Telegram, so be sure to check that out. It's if you scroll to the top of the chat, I do have a link for my Telegram at the top or in the description below as well. But essentially, if we can break through this, we'll wait for the retest to sell it, or if you break there, we'll wait for the test of that to sell it to the downside. If it does move up there, the risk reward is better, of course, than taking the break and retest. So happy days if we can get there. If not, we'll take the break and retest of this low and take some sales in there. I'm expecting price to come down. USD is also looking good. Price is starting to pull back there, so it does look like we might not be breaking through that, but essentially looking for a lower high somewhere, or price to break out this consolidation, retest it, and then take some sales to the downside. So we'll keep my eyes on USD, but we do have some news coming out later for USD, for NZD and AUD later today, so do watch out for that. That could have a say on how things move. It could actually be the catalyst that breaks us out of this consolidation. I have no idea, but just watch out so you don't go and blow your accounts, guys. So watch out for that. Also looking at USD CAD, but that's mainly for tomorrow. Of course, I'm streaming again tomorrow, so do look out for my stream 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. GMT. If we can get a daily candle closure above this consolidation, that will confirm the breakout to me. So tomorrow, obviously have to wait for that daily candle to close, but tomorrow I'll be looking for a retest of this or of that trend line, and longs back to 1.25. So looking at USD CAD longs, looking at Euro USD shorts, and obviously USD shorts as well if we can get anything. But those are the main pairs I'll be focusing on. If I get anything for those pairs, I will let you guys know in the Telegram. Nice, Aaron. well, I hope I see all of you guys back tomorrow, same time as today, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. GMT. I stream Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's 3 days, and I post obviously analysis on Saturday as well. I'm actually posting another video later today as well, so look out for all that, guys, on my channel. Hopefully in a couple hours from now, explaining how to take advantage of ranging markets when we do see that breakout, what to do next. So be sure to check out that video, it'll be on my channel. But yeah, guys, it is the end of the stream. Hope you all enjoyed that and found that useful. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it already. If you are enjoying the content, like the video if you are as well. It does really help my channel out. But I hope you guys have a great day. Good luck trading, and I hope I do see you guys tomorrow. Hey, you two, one, go take care. My day is done. Lovely, lovely. See you guys tomorrow.